Today in our tutorial, we are going to make a chic, modern BANDEAU French netting veil. And I'm going to be doing that with a 9-inch. And this is Russian veiling, also known as French netting. I'm going to be calling it French netting just for ease of, communication. And that is a 16-inch piece, which I have pre-cut for a 23-inch head size. And so you would just basically measure from the back of your ear, in the middle of the back of your ear to the other side of your ear, and that's going to give you your proper head size for this particular style. This is a very easy look to create, and all you're going to need is your Russian veiling or French netting, some invisible thread with a needle, some glue, some button loop, which I call bobby pin loop, and some crystals because we're going to embellish it. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to embellish it with some crystals. So I'm going to bring my glue board over. That's basically cardboard covered in duct tape, and that protects my surface. I have some rubbing alcohol and I have some Q-tips handy. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put some here and there throughout the netting, and it's pretty easy. Now I like to double side because what's fun about the BANDEAU is you can flip it for the reception and it kind of smooths the back of your hair. So I want to make sure that when it's flipped that you see crystals both sides. So basically we're going to sandwich the crystals throughout the netting, and I'm not going to do a lot, and I'm always mindful of the face area. We won't want to land any by the nose or the eye or the mouth. So these are just flat back rhinestones with a foil back, and I'm putting one face down on a dot, and now I'm going to glue them pretty easily with it on that dot, and then I just put a very small dollop of glue, and I use fabric tack. It's permanent and it dries really quick. So there's our first one, and that's really easy. And I'm just going to cast them throughout. Oh, and also too, if your netting is a little wrinkled, which can happen, when you're iron it with the grain of the netting. Because if you iron it this way, you're going to create a problem with the squares, and you'll want to iron it before you put your crystals on. All right, I'm just going to cast them here and out, here and there. A nice little hint, right? Gives a little pop, a little fun, kind of Hollywood glam. Now I'm going to show you what I'm going to do here. It's kind of hard to see because they're very, very thin little tiny hairs or eyelashes that come off of the machine, and they don't cut those off. I like to cut those off. It finishes the edge and makes it look really nice. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and just trim off those little fibers basically. Now with that all cleaned up, we are ready to do the next process, and that's going to be sew both sides. Now it's super easy. We're going to do some French netting weaving, and how I do that is through the dot. That first dot here, I'm going to put a knot, and then on each of these dots, it's very difficult to see. These dots have little holes in them, and I go through the middle hole and I just weave them all the way down. Right now that we're at the other end, you're just basically going to knot it. And then I trim off this excess here, and I'm leaving the needle on. And the reason that I like to gather it is if you gather it just like that, all the gathers are nice and straight. If you just kind of bunch it up and then do the next step, it can kind of not make this lay as well. And if you notice, this is kind of coming out almost like a starburst. It goes right out. It's beautiful that way. And now with that needle still on there, I'm going to get my button loop. And what we're going to do, each button loop's different. So basically I want one with 3 loops, and I'm going to be folding it over like that. And essentially the bride will adhere it with bobby pins or fascinator. We're going to put some glue here. And now we're going to go over with the loops facing out, centering the first one in our gather there, flipping it around, and now I'm going to sew that onto that button loop. I'm going to sandwich that over with some more glue both sides, making sure they're tiered, and then sewing that together. And at the end, I'm going to show you some brides who wore the bandeau. One bride wore the bandeau while skiing down. After they said I do, they skied down a mountain and she wore a bandeau and it stayed on the entire time. Awesome photos too. All right, I'm going to do the other side. Same exact process. And then I'll show you how to fit a fascinator on it as well. And the bandeau can be worn without a fascinator, but it is so pretty with one. So with these sides, you're sinking into the back of your hairstyle. And this can definitely be worn open up here, but a lot of times you'll need a bobby pin here and there to kind of maintain the drama, if you will. But it's up to you how you want to wear it. But it's meant to kind of more go over the face this way. And here's a feather flower that I made a tutorial on. It's the feather flower tutorial. And what you do is you would sink that into the hairstyle and put your fascinator on whichever side you want, and then put the other side and sink that into the hairstyle, and it's really fun. And then, like I said, this can be worn with a fascinator, without a fascinator, and like my bride who went down the mountain skiing, she wore a beautiful little silk flower that I made, and it was stunning. It's just so much fun. If you want to learn how to make another French netting veil, I have an angle French netting veil that's beautiful and it caps the head, and here's a tutorial for that. That's it for now. See you later, veil makers.